Hey guys, we are here at a little arboretum we have just down the road from us, and we wanted to introduce to you the vision that we've been talking about in previous videos about the Garden of Tears.
Hello.
So this vision was primarily birthed out of my wife, so I'm gonna let her kind of share her heart and ultimately share what the core of the vision is and where we're going with this whole thing. So,
all right guys, I want to share a little bit about the Garden of Tears and where we even got the name and the vision of this. If you've tracked with us long enough, you know that the last couple of years we had a market garden in the garden space that's next to the greenhouse, and was it October 2018, I tragically lost my sister. It was a sudden death. She overdosed on drugs and none of us saw it coming. There's so much to the story of her life and her death and just the wake of pain that left in our family. Anyways, it took me about a year to even begin to recover just from the suddenness of the trauma and the pain from her death. She was my oldest sister. So it wasn't long after my sister died, just weird stuff started to happen in my body. We were actually on the way to Colorado with my in-laws for a vacation, and the RV kept breaking down. We couldn't even make it out of the state of Kansas after 2.5 days in the RV. And I'll never forget, it was a Thursday morning. I woke up and I actually had service. We're at the border of Kansas and Colorado, and I had a text from my stepdad asking me to call, that it was an emergency. And it wasn't much long after that we got the news of my sister's death, and we made a U-turn and headed for Virginia. Weird things started to happen. I was having pains in my chest and in my neck and in my throat. I started to experience anxiety and panic. I had my first panic attack, which I'd never had one a day in my life. And when I got the news of my sister's death, like I said, I was in an RV with my 4 children, my husband, and my in-laws, and I wasn't able to really process it. I had about 20 seconds to wail, and my kids were headed back in the door, and I just had to suppress the pain in my heart, and thus began a 2-day journey into Virginia. And just with the busyness of life, family, children, I never really got the time that I needed to sit and to cry, to mourn, and to process her death and the loss and what it meant. And as the months passed by, what's happening in my body continued to intensify, and I finally realized, like, I have to fight. I can't go on like this. And it was such a debilitating thing that was taking place. I couldn't do any of my normal activities. So April of last year, which was 2019, I had a weekend away without my husband, without my children, a weekend in the beautiful woods, the Ozarks of Missouri. And we had a cabin separate from the cabin we're staying in, where you could just go to be alone. Anyways, I think it was the Saturday morning of the retreat, I went to be alone in the cabin by myself. It was the first time I'd been alone in a really long time and had just open-ended hours. But when we started the retreat, I do this every time I go on a retreat, I ask all the women, if you could have one thing from God, what would you have? And my cry to God, my prayer was, God, would you heal my heart? Would you help me to access this pain that's deep within me that I don't even know how to open up anymore because I had to suppress it for so long? And would you begin to heal my heart? And so I got alone in this cabin by myself early Saturday morning, and I just had no end in sight of how long I'd be there, and just began to open up my heart and just like, God, help me help me through this pain, help me process this pain. And in the middle of all that, he met me. It wasn't long after just purposely setting the time aside to be alone with God, to mourn and to process the death of my sister, that he began to speak to me, and I was able to cry, and the tears came. And a few hours into it, I asked him the tough question. In the Bible, it says that God works all things for good, and even what the enemy intends for evil, God will work for good. And I said, with such a tragedy, such pain, such grief, my sister, mother of 4 children, leaving behind not just my mother and my sisters, but her own children and friends, how can you redeem, how can you make something beautiful from this? And I heard the Lord speak, and he said, I want you to build a garden. And he said, its name is the Garden of Tears. It's a place that I want people to be able to go to mourn and to weep and to be with me, and I'm going to heal their hearts. So that's where the name and the vision came from. It was in the place of my own pain and grief and mourning of the tragic loss of my sister, and asking the hard questions of God that he spoke this into being. So the Garden of Tears, I cast the vision to Adam, and he said, yeah, let's do it. So part of our vision with Goshen is to care for children in crisis, and that will take place in various different ways. But one of the ways that we're actually tangibly going to be able to do that in the near future is by building this garden. We're starting now this winter into the spring, and providing a place for youth to come, for children to come that have experienced trauma and pain and loss, to come and to sit, to explore, to plant, to weed, whatever's going to take place in this garden. But ultimately we're creating a place in the Garden of Tears where people in pain can come and weep and cry and ultimately be healed. And I believe that if we do our part, which is build this garden, God will do his part, because there's so many promises in the word, and I've experienced it tangibly in my own life, that blessed are those who mourn, they shall be healed.
So I already knew the vision that my wife had in her heart for the Garden of Tears, and I was in the shower one day and I just had this knowing inside of me that I needed to clear the market garden, and that's where the Garden of Tears was going to be. I saw a little bit of a picture of what it could be right there. And so it was cool, kind of the picture of the part of the story with my wife converging with me, and kind of having confirmation like, yeah, this is what we should do, and we should do it here. So, like I said before, we'll share in a part 2 of this video on the fine details of what that looks like so far as the... What? The fishy's back there. As far as the setup and the details as to the layout and all of that and how that goes, we'll share it in a part 2 to this video. But we really wanted to just kind of introduce the vision, let you guys hear from my wife's heart and from us about something that we're really excited about doing. And obviously we want to invite you guys along the journey as well. This is not going to be an easy task. It's going to take a lot of time, finances, and prayer. And so for all of you that are out there watching, that this really resonates with you, if you have any other questions about what we're doing, kind of the details of it, you can contact us. Just go to the About section on our YouTube channel.
So in memory of my sister, in honor of her children and our family, we are building and creating the Garden of Tears, starting now this winter into the spring. And our hope is that people that are walking through the same pain, the pain of loss, the pain of trauma that I walk through, and my family has walked through, that this will provide a place of healing, a place where they can go. God named it himself the Garden of Tears, a place where people can go to cry and to mourn and to process their loss and their trauma, and ultimately to be healed and to be given a hope for their future.
Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We really just wanted to start the conversation about this vision we have with the Garden of Tears and everything that goes into it. Obviously, you're going to be seeing a lot pertaining to that in the coming months here, because that's what we're going to be working on the property. Like I said before, we're going to do a part 2 to this video to share the details about how we're laying out the property and what all of this looks like. But we wanted you to really get the core of why we're doing this, and that was the purpose for this video. So,
and if you have questions, there are a lot of details that I think we left out just because it was a long journey to get to this point where we're before the camera right now. So if you have questions, please comment below or send us an email. You want to leave your Goshen email? You
can just contact us. Just go to the About section on our channel, and that email goes directly to me. So you can just send us an email, like my wife said, if you have any questions, and we'll try to answer them as they come in. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell next to it, and hit all. That way you'll get all of our notifications. And we're so excited about this journey that we're on with the Garden of Tears and everything that goes along with it. So make sure you stay tracked with us and what we're doing here. See you guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you in the Garden of Tears. Come quickly. See you in the garden.
Say see you in the garden.
See you